The endless void of space stretched before Admiral Elias Carson as he stood at the observation deck of Titan Command. His weathered face, etched with the lines of countless battles, reflected against the reinforced glass. Behind him, Saturn's golden rings arced across the black canvas of space, a breathtaking sight that once inspired awe. Now, they only reminded him of chains. "Admiral," Lieutenant Braddock's voice came through the comm, interrupting his thoughts. "Transmission from Earth Central. Priority Alpha." Carson's jaw tightened. "Put it through to my private quarters." He made his way through the sterile corridors of the station, nodding curtly to the personnel who saluted as he passed. Each face carried the same haunted look, the expression of those who knew what was coming but were powerless to stop it. Inside his quarters, Carson activated the secure terminal. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of High Administrator Call. "Admiral Carson," Call began, his voice carrying the practiced smoothness of a politician. "The treaty has been signed. Earth's representatives have agreed to the Empire's terms." Carson's fist clenched at his side. "So we surrender without a fight? Become their vassals?" "The Empire controls thousands of star systems," Call replied, his eyes darting nervously. "Their technological superiority is insurmountable. This is survival, Admiral." "It's slavery," Carson spat. "The terms are reasonable: resource tributes, labor quotas, technological exchange. And what did they promise you? Call, what's your reward for selling humanity's freedom?" The administrator's face hardened. "Mind your tone. Admiral, the decision is final. You are ordered to stand down all military operations and prepare for integration into the Imperial command structure. A representative will arrive at Titan within the week to oversee the transition." The transmission ended, leaving Carson alone with his rage. He stared at the dark screen, the decision he had dreaded for months now unavoidable. With deliberate movements, he activated a hidden communications array beneath his desk. The device hummed to life, establishing a quantum-encrypted channel that bypassed all official networks. "This is Black Admiral," he spoke into the device. "Initiate Ghost Protocol. Authorization, Thermopylae." A single acknowledgement ping returned, and Carson knew that across the solar system, hidden preparations were beginning. The Empire would not find humanity on its knees. They would find the Black Fleet. On Enceladus, Saturn's ice-covered moon, the surface appeared barren and lifeless beneath its frozen crust. However, a miracle of human engineering had taken shape over the past 5 years. Commander Vera Chen monitored the enormous cavern from her control station, watching as technicians swarmed over the sleek, midnight hull of the dreadnought Defiance. Its massive frame, nearly 2 kilometers long, bristled with weapon systems and stealth plating that absorbed rather than reflected light. "Status report," she demanded, turning to her operations officer. "Synchronization of stealth fields at 93%. Commander." "The carrier group reports full combat readiness. Warhound squadrons are loaded and pilots are on standby." Vera nodded, her attention drawn to the incoming notification on her terminal. The message was brief. "Thermopylae." "It's time," she announced, her voice echoing through the command center. "Alert all sections. Launch preparations begin now." Throughout the cavernous underground base, alarm klaxons sounded. Personnel rushed to their stations as hidden doorways in the ice ceiling began to part, revealing the star-speckled blackness of space. Vera opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Commander Vera. Ghost Protocol is activated. The Black Fleet rises today."
Yeah.
The Imperial representative's shuttle approached Titan Station with the arrogant grace of predators who knew their prey was cornered. Its elongated hull gleamed with the polished perfection that characterized Imperial engineering, beautiful, precise, and utterly soulless. Admiral Carson watched from the command center as the shuttle docked. Beside him, Lieutenant Braddock shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, shouldn't we be preparing a reception party?" Carson's eyes remained fixed on the monitor. "That won't be necessary." "Lieutenant." Braddock hesitated. "Sir, these are direct orders from Earth Central. Earth Central has surrendered our future." Carson cut in sharply. "I have not." Before Braddock could respond, Carson activated the station-wide communication system. "Attention all personnel. This is Admiral Carson. By now you've heard about the surrender treaty. You've been told that humanity must kneel to survive." He paused, his voice growing firmer. "I reject those terms." Throughout the station, crews stopped their work, listening intently. For the past 5 years, while politicians negotiated our capitulation, I and others prepared for this moment. The Black Fleet, off-book ships, weapons, and volunteers, stands ready to show the Empire that humanity does not surrender its freedom. On the screen, armored Imperial troops were emerging from the shuttle, weapons drawn. Each of you must now make a choice. Join us, or stand aside. But know this: today, we fight. Carson nodded to his communications officer, who activated a secondary system. Throughout the station, hidden compartments opened, revealing weapons, caches, and armor. Titan Station is now under the command of the Black Fleet. Carson continued. All loyal personnel, battle stations. The first explosions rocked the docking bay as pre-planted charges detonated, sealing the Imperial troops in a controlled sector of the station. Alarms blared as emergency bulkheads slammed shut. Braddock stared at Carson, shock evident on his face. "Sir, this is mutiny." "No, Lieutenant," Carson replied, drawing his sidearm. "This is resistance. Are you with us or against us?" The young officer's expression shifted from confusion to resolution. "With you, sir. Always." Carson nodded, holstering his weapon. "Then get to the auxiliary control room. Lock down all communications except through our encrypted channels. We don't want Earth Central warning the Empire before we're ready." As Braddock hurried away, Carson turned to the tactical display. Across the solar system, hidden signals were activating dormant cells of resistance. On Mars, Ceres, Europa, and dozens of other outposts, loyal officers were seizing control of key installations. But the real surprise awaited on Enceladus. And now, the Empire's ultimatum reached Earth 12 hours after Carson's rebellion began. It appeared simultaneously on every communication device, in every language. Kneel or be ash. In the underground command center beneath the Himalayan mountains. Merrick watched the message repeat on the central display. The facility, carved into the living rock generations ago as a doomsday bunker, now served as the Earth-based headquarters for the Resistance. "They're not wasting time," he muttered, turning to the communications specialist. "Any word from the Admiral?" "Transmission incoming now, sir." Carson's face appeared on screen, the image occasionally distorting from encryption protocols. "Merrick, status report. Cells activated in all major Earth cities." Merrick responded, "Military installations are divided, about 60% following Earth Central's surrender order, 40% with us. We've secured the lunar mass driver and 3 orbital platforms. And the Imperial forces? 2 cruisers in Earth orbit, They're demanding that Earth Central hand over the insurgents or face planetary bombardment. Carson's expression darkened. They're bluffing. They want Earth intact, our resources, our labor. But they will make examples of resistance leaders. Administrator Call is broadcasting appeals for calm and compliance. Merrick added, "He's claiming you've gone rogue, that you'll bring destruction on humanity." "Expected," Carson replied. "What about Admiral Lockhart?" Merrick hesitated. "She's sided with Earth Central. The North American fleet is under her command, and she's ordered them to assist in putting down the rebellion." Pain flashed across Carson's face before he masked it. Raina Lockhart had been more than a fellow officer. They had served together for 20 years, fought side by side. Her decision to support the surrender cut deeper than any betrayal. "Understood," Carson said flatly. "Prepare for Operation Earthstorm. The Black Fleet launches in 6 hours." The transmission ended, leaving Merrick staring at the blank screen. Around him, the command center personnel exchanged nervous glances. "Sir," one of the tactical officers spoke up, "Operation Earthstorm? That's a direct assault on Imperial forces. Can we really win against their technology?" Merrick turned to face the assembled staff. Admiral Carson doesn't plan to win a conventional war. He plans to ignite one, to show humanity and the Empire that we won't surrender without a fight. He straightened his shoulders. "Now, to your stations. History awaits."
And then,
On Enceladus, the hidden fleet was stirring. 6 dreadnoughts, each a masterpiece of stealth technology and firepower. 4 carriers housing hundreds of fighters and dropships. 30 cruisers armed with experimental weapon systems developed in secret. And nearly 200 Warhound-class interceptors, small, agile ships designed to overwhelm larger vessels through sheer numbers and maneuverability. Admiral Carson strode through the cavernous launch bay of the Defiance, the flagship of the Black Fleet. Crew members snapped to attention as he passed, their faces a mixture of determination and fear. Commander Vera met him at the bridge entrance. "Admiral on deck," she called out, and the bridge crew rose to attention. "As you were," Carson ordered, moving to the command chair. "Status report." "All ships report ready," Vera replied. "Stealth systems active, weapons hot. The Empire has no idea we exist." Carson nodded, studying the tactical display. "And the spacefold drive." A shadow crossed Vera's face. "Operational, but the engineers are concerned about stability. We've never tested it in combat conditions. Today will be test enough." Carson activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Carson. For 5 years, we've prepared in secret while politicians signed away our future. Today, we show the Empire that humanity doesn't surrender." He paused, looking around at the faces of his bridge crew. "Our mission is not to win this war, not today. Our mission is to prove that we can fight, that we will fight. Operation Earthstorm begins with a spacefold jump directly to the Imperial forward outpost at Karen. We destroy their early warning system, then proceed to Earth orbit for the main assault." The tactical officer spoke up. "Sir, intelligence suggests the Empire has deployed their Inquisition-class flagship, the Eternal Verdict, to Sol system. If it's present, then we'll deal with it." Carson replied firmly. "The Verdict is just a ship, and ships can be destroyed." He didn't mention what everyone knew, that an Inquisition-class vessel carried weapons capable of sterilizing a planet's surface. If the Empire decided humanity was too troublesome, they might decide Earth was more valuable without its inhabitants. "All ships, prepare for spacefold. Target coordinates locked on Karen outpost. Throughout the fleet, massive engines hummed to life. The revolutionary spacefold technology, stolen from Imperial research data and developed in secret, would allow them to bypass normal space, appearing directly in the target area without traversing the distance between. Fold in 3, 2, 1. Execute. Reality twisted around the Black Fleet. The ice caverns of Enceladus vanished, replaced momentarily by a swirling maelstrom of energy as space itself folded like origami around the ships. Then, with a silent flash, they emerged in the darkness near Pluto's moon. Ahead, the Imperial monitoring station orbited Charon, a gleaming structure of metal and crystalline sensors that maintained constant vigilance over the outer reaches of the solar system. "They've detected us," the sensor officer reported. "Imperial station raising shields." "Too late," Carson said coldly. "All ships, open fire." The Black Fleet unleashed hell. Particle beams, kinetic projectiles, and plasma torpedoes converged on the station. Its shields flared brilliant blue under the assault, holding for precious seconds before collapsing. The station itself followed moments later, breaking apart in a spectacular explosion that lit up the darkness of the outer system. "Direct hit," Vera reported. "Imperial outpost destroyed." "Any transmissions?" "Negative. We caught them completely by surprise." Carson nodded grimly. "Phase 1 complete. All ships prepare for second fold. Target Earth orbit. Operation Earthstorm is go." In her command center aboard the Earth Defense Platform, Alpha, Admiral Reyna Lockhart received the first alerts of something amiss when the Karen monitoring station went offline. Probably just a solar flare disrupting communications. Her communications officer suggested. Reyna wasn't convinced. "Run a full diagnostic and keep trying to re-establish contact." She turned to her tactical officer. "Where are the Imperial vessels currently stationed?" "The cruisers, Dominion, and Subjugator are in standard orbit. The Eternal Verdict is positioned on the far side of the moon." Reyna suppressed a shudder. The Verdict was a nightmare, a vessel so massive and powerful that its mere presence had been enough to convince Earth's leadership to surrender. Its commander, Judicator Orin, was rumored to possess psionic abilities enhanced by Imperial technology. "And what about Carson? Any sign of his Black Fleet?" "Nothing. Admiral, we have reports of insurrection at several off-world colonies, but no significant military movements." Reyna frowned. She had known Elias Carson for decades, fought alongside him, celebrated victories, mourned losses. His refusal to accept the surrender had not surprised her. His apparent capacity to organize a rebellion had. Carson was a brilliant tactician, but this level of preparation suggested years of planning. Had he anticipated the surrender even before the Empire arrived? "Admiral," her sensor officer called out suddenly. "Massive energy surge detected near lunar orbit." Reyna snapped to attention. "Source?" "Unknown, but it's like nothing I've ever seen. Readings suggest some kind of space distortion." A cold certainty settled in Reyna's stomach. "Battle stations. Alert the Imperial vessels immediately." Before her crew could comply, the sensor displays exploded with new contacts. Multiple vessels appearing in Earth orbit, configuration unknown. They don't match any registered Earth or Imperial designs. The main screen activated, displaying a transmission that bypassed all security protocols. Elias Carson's face filled the screen, his expression resolute. "This is Admiral Elias Carson of the Black Fleet to all Earth forces and citizens. The surrender treaty signed by Earth Central represents treason against humanity's future. Today, we demonstrate that humanity will not bow to tyranny." Reyna stared at the face of her old friend, recognizing the expression he wore, the same one he'd had before the Battle of Tau Ceti, where they'd been outgunned and surrounded, but somehow emerged victorious. "Elias," she whispered, "what have you done?" Operation Earthstorm unfolded with precision across Earth orbit. The Black Fleet's first targets were not the Imperial vessels, but the network of defense satellites that Earth had built over decades, now under Imperial control. "Tungsten rod deployment authorized," Carson ordered. "Target all primary defense platforms." From the belly of 3 cruisers, hundreds of tungsten rods were released. Simple weapons, just refined metal shaped into aerodynamic spears. But when dropped from orbit, they became devastating kinetic projectiles. They streaked toward the defense platforms, punching through armor and critical systems with unstoppable force. "Defense grid at 30% capacity and falling," Vera reported. "Imperial cruisers changing course to intercept?" Carson nodded. "Right on schedule. Deploy Warhound squadrons. Target the Gise Dominion. First, its weapon systems are more advanced." The carriers disgorged their fighters, swarms of small, nimble craft designed to overwhelm larger vessels through coordinated attacks. They raced toward the Imperial cruiser, Dominion, whose elegant hull bristled with energy weapons that began to track the incoming threat. "Incoming transmission from Earth Defense Command," the communications officer reported. "Put it through." Carson ordered. Admiral Reyna Lawcock's face appeared on screen, her expression a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Elias, stand down immediately. You can't win this fight." "Hello, Reyna," Carson replied calmly. "I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to wake up humanity. You're going to get everyone killed. The Empire will respond with overwhelming force." "Perhaps, but they'll know we fought." Carson's voice hardened. "You know what they're planning. Reyna, labor camps, resource extraction, genetic optimization programs. They don't see us as equals. We're livestock to them." Reyna's expression faltered. "We had no choice. Their technology. There's always a choice. You taught me that." Carson leaned forward. "It's not too late. Reyna, join us." For a moment, something like doubt crossed her face. Then her expression hardened again. "I can't. Stand down. Elias, please." The transmission cut off as an explosion rocked Carson's flagship. The tactical display showed the Dominion firing its main batteries, energy beams slicing through space toward the Black Fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Carson ordered. "All ships, commence main attack pattern. Target the Dominion's propulsion systems." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as officers carried out his commands. Outside, the battle for Earth's freedom had begun in earnest. In the Himalayan Command Center, Merrick watched the orbital battle unfold through data feeds and occasional visual glimpses from surface-based telescopes. The Black Fleet moved with unexpected coordination, their ships dancing around the larger, more powerful Imperial vessels. "They're actually doing it," one of the junior officers whispered in awe. "They're fighting back." Merrick nodded, but his attention was focused on his own mission. While Carson engaged the Empire in space, the ground forces had their own crucial role to play. Activation signals confirmed. His communications specialist reported, "Resistance cells are mobilizing worldwide." "And the broadcast system?" "Ready when you are, sir." Merrick took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change everything. There would be no going back. "Begin transmission to all Earth frequencies." The specialist nodded, activating the system that would hijack every communication channel on the planet. Screens around the world, in homes, offices, public spaces, suddenly displayed the same image, footage smuggled out of Imperial-controlled worlds, labor camps where humans worked in horrific conditions, medical facilities where genetic optimization meant forced sterilization and experimentation, planetary mining operations that left entire continents uninhabitable, and alongside these images, data stolen from the Empire's own archives, the true terms of surrender that Earth Central had hidden from the public. Not cooperation, but subjugation. Not partnership, but ownership. People of Earth. Merrick's voice accompanied the images. This is the future our leaders signed us over to. This is what awaits us under Imperial rule. But today, brave men and women are fighting for a different future. The feed switched to the battle in orbit, showing the Black Fleet engaging the Imperial cruisers. Join us. Resist in any way you can. The Empire cannot control a united humanity that refuses to submit. Throughout cities across the planet, the effect was immediate. Protests erupted outside government buildings, military and police forces, now seeing the truth of what awaited them, began to question their orders. And in key locations, pre-positioned resistance cells moved to seize control of strategic infrastructure. The revolution had begun, both in space and on the ground. No. Aboard the Defiance, Admiral Carson grimly assessed the battle's progress. The Black Fleet had performed better than he had dared hope. The Dominion was crippled, its propulsion systems destroyed and weapons offline. The Subjugator continued to fight, but was surrounded by warhound squadrons that darted in and out of its defensive envelope, gradually wearing down its shields. But victory had come at a cost. 3 of his cruisers were destroyed, a dreadnought heavily damaged, and dozens of warhounds lost. And the real threat had yet to reveal itself. "Admiral," Vera called out, her voice tense. "New contact emerging from behind the moon." The tactical display updated, showing an enormous vessel moving into Earth orbit. The Eternal Verdict dwarfed every other ship in the battle, nearly 15 kilometers of sleek, predatory design. Its hull gleamed with an unnatural light that seemed to drink in the surrounding darkness. "All ships, regroup," Carson ordered. "Defensive formation, Delta. Prepare all remaining weapons." The Verdict approached with the unhurried confidence of an apex predator. Its first attack came not as conventional weapons fire, but as a wave of energy that washed over the Black Fleet. "What was that?" Carson demanded as warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Some kind of scan," the science officer replied, checking his instruments. "But it's affecting our crew. Medical is reporting headaches, disorientation, visual hallucinations." Carson felt it himself, a pressure behind his eyes, whispers at the edge of hearing. Psychotronic attack, he realized. The rumors were true. Shields to maximum. Deploy psi-dampening fields. The Verdict opened fire. Energy weapons of impossible power lancing out to strike a Black Fleet cruiser. The vessel didn't simply explode. It seemed to dissolve, its molecular structure coming apart in a cascade of light. "Evasive pattern Omega," Carson ordered. "All ships, concentrate fire on these coordinates." He marked a section of the Verdict's hull where sensors indicated a slight fluctuation in the energy field surrounding the vessel. The Black Fleet responded, pouring everything they had into the target area. For several seconds, it seemed to have no effect. Then, suddenly, a portion of the Verdict's shielding collapsed, and weapons fire began to impact the hull directly. "We've breached their defenses," Vera reported, a note of hope in her voice. Before Carson could respond, the ship rocked violently. Warning klaxons blared as damage reports flooded in. Direct hit to decks 30 through 42. The tactical officer shouted over the noise. We've lost the port weapon arrays and forward shields are failing. Carson gripped the arms of his command chair as the ship shuddered again. Status of the fleet? 2 dreadnoughts still operational. 1 carrier. 8 cruisers. Approximately 50 warhounds remaining. Not enough, not nearly enough to defeat the verdict, but perhaps enough for what needed to be done. All ships, new targeting parameters, Carson ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Focus all fire on the verdict's primary energy core. Coordinates being transmitted now. Vera looked up from her console, understanding dawning in her eyes. Sir, if we destabilize their core... I know. Carson met her gaze. But we won't get another chance. The verdict must be destroyed, no matter the cost. The remaining ships of the Black Fleet adjusted their attack, concentrating their firepower on a single point of the massive Imperial flagship. The verdict responded with devastating counterfire, destroying 2 more cruisers and a dreadnought in rapid succession. But the attack had served its purpose, drawing attention away from the Defiance as it maneuvered closer to the Imperial vessel. Spacefold drive status? Carson asked quietly. Operational, but sir, at this range. The engineer's voice trailed off. I understand the risks. Carson replied, prepare for point-blank fold. Target the verdict's core. A hush fell over the bridge as the implications became clear. A spacefold jump at such close range, directly into another vessel. The Defiance would be torn apart in the process. Admiral, Braddock began, there must be another way. Or, there isn't. Carson cut him off. But I'll handle this myself. Commander Vera, you have command of the fleet. Lieutenant Braddock, organize evacuation of all non-essential personnel to the escape pods. Sir, I cannot allow... Yup. That's an order. Lieutenant. Carson's tone brooked no argument. Someone needs to stay behind to ensure the fold coordinates remain locked on target. I won't ask anyone else to make that sacrifice. As the bridge crew reluctantly followed his orders, Carson opened a channel to Merrick's command center on Earth. Merrick, status report. The broadcast is working, sir. Uprisings in every major city. Military units are defecting to our side. And High Administrator Call? In custody. He was attempting to flee when resistance forces captured him. Carson nodded. Listen carefully. The verdict is more powerful than we anticipated. I'm going to take it out. But the Black Fleet will need to withdraw afterward. The next phase falls to Earth. Merrick's expression showed that he understood what Carson wasn't saying. It's been an honor, Admiral. The honor was mine. Carson out. As the bridge emptied, Carson sat alone in his command chair. Through the viewports, he could see the massive form of the Eternal Verdict, its weapons continuing to tear through his fleet. Soon, only the Defiance would remain within striking distance. He activated the final protocol on his console, a data package that would transmit to all Black Fleet vessels the moment the Defiance executed its final maneuver. Everything they had learned about Imperial technology, tactics, and weaknesses. Everything future resistance fighters would need. Spacefold drive at full power. He spoke to the empty bridge, executing final jump in 3, 2, 1. The fabric of reality bent around the Defiance, one last time. Carson's last conscious thought was not of fear, but of the stars he had spent his life among, and the hope that humanity would remain free to explore them. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a new star briefly outshining all others in the night sky. The Eternal Verdict. pride of the Imperial fleet, disintegrated as the Defiance's spacefold drive created a localized rupture in space-time at the heart of its energy core. In orbit, the surviving ships of the Black Fleet recovered their fighters and withdrew to predetermined rally points throughout the solar system, carrying with them the tactical data Carson had transmitted in his final moments. On Earth, the revolution spread like wildfire, with the destruction of the verdict and the revelation of the Empire's true intentions. Even those who had initially supported the surrender now turned against it. High Administrator Call and his conspirators were placed under arrest, charged with treason against humanity. Admiral Reyna Lockoch, watching from her command platform as the verdict perished, made her decision. She ordered the Earth Defense Fleet to support the resistance, turning their weapons against the remaining Imperial forces. "This is Admiral Lockoch to all Earth forces," she broadcast. "Admiral Carson gave his life to prove that we can fight back. I will not dishonor that sacrifice. As of this moment, I declare the surrender treaty null and void. Earth stands free." 3 months later, Merrick stood at the newly established Memorial Plaza in what had once been Geneva. At its center stood a simple stone obelisk, engraved with the names of those who had fallen in what was now called the Liberation Battle. Admiral Elias Carson's name headed the list. "He would have hated this," a voice remarked beside him. Merrick turned to find Reyna Lockoch, her uniform now bearing the insignia of the newly formed Flame Alliance, the unified military command created from Earth forces and the surviving Black Fleet. "The memorial?" Merrick asked. "Being made into a hero," Reyna clarified. "Elias never saw himself that way. He just did what he believed was right." Merrick nodded. "Any word from the Imperial homeworlds?" "They're regrouping. Our intelligence suggests they're surprised by the resistance. They've never encountered a species that fought back so effectively." A grim smile touched her lips. "They'll return, but they'll find us ready." "And the Flame Alliance?" "Growing stronger. Mars declared full independence yesterday. The outer colonies are joining. We're establishing new production facilities for Black Fleet technology." She paused, looking up at the clear blue sky. "We have time, but not much of it." Merrick followed her gaze. Somewhere up there, the surviving ships of the Black Fleet patrolled, standing guard over a humanity awakened to both danger and its own potential. "He knew. You know," Merrick said quietly. "Carson knew he wouldn't survive, but he believed the sacrifice was worth it if it woke humanity up." "It did more than that," Reyna replied. "It united us." Around them, the plaza teemed with people from every nation and colony. Where once there had been division and surrender, now there was purpose and determination. The Empire had demanded Earth's surrender, and in response, humanity had discovered its strength. The Black Fleet had roared, and the galaxy had heard. In the distance, at the newly established shipyards that ringed Earth's orbit, the hulls of new vessels took shape, larger, more advanced, incorporating both human ingenuity and adapted Imperial technology. They gleamed not with the midnight black of Carson's secret fleet, but with the brilliant colors of a united Earth, each bearing the flame insignia that had become the symbol of resistance. Humanity would not kneel, and when the Empire returned, they would find not a conquered world, but a flame that could not be extinguished. In the command center beneath the Himalayas, now serving as the headquarters for the Flame Alliance's intelligence division, Vera studied the latest reports from the outer system probes. Scattered Imperial forces had withdrawn beyond Neptune, but they would return, and likely with reinforcements. "Commander," one of her analysts called out, We've decoded another segment of the Imperial Archive data. The information stolen from the verdict before its destruction had proven invaluable, containing not just military intelligence, but insights into Imperial culture, hierarchy, and, most importantly, their weaknesses. "What is it?" Vera asked, moving to the analyst's station. "It appears to be historical data. According to this, we're not the first species to resist Imperial expansion." The analyst's voice held a note of excitement. "There are records of at least 3 other civilizations that fought back. And what happened to them? 2 were eventually subjugated, but the third—" The analyst looked up, eyes wide. "The third forced the Empire into a treaty. A real treaty, not surrender terms. They're still out there, beyond Imperial space." Vera felt a surge of hope. Allies, potential allies who had faced the Empire and survived. "And get this to Admiral Lockhart immediately," she ordered, "and begin deep space scans in the indicated sector." As the analyst hurried to comply, Vera turned her attention back to the star map displaying the known extent of Imperial territory. It was vast, encompassing thousands of systems. But not infinite, not invincible. Carson had given humanity a chance, not just to resist, but perhaps to forge a future where the Empire itself might one day fall. The Black Fleet had been just the beginning. Vera allowed herself a smile as she studied the construction reports for the new vessels being built in Earth orbit, larger, faster, more powerful, incorporating both human ingenuity and the Imperial technology they had captured. The Empire had awakened a sleeping giant, and humanity's roar was just beginning to echo across the stars.